All right, my friends. Are you overwhelmed with some of those negative thoughts that get into your head and make you wonder, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? All that kind of stuff? Well, my dears, I want you to know you are in the right place, and it happens to all of us. Hang on a sec. And that's what we're going to be talking about here today, my friends. So hold tight. Sorry, just as always, technology. Reset. So, what I want to know, when you are doing anything in your life, sitting thinking about yourself, especially about your goals, do negative thoughts run through your mind unchecked? Hmm? Do you find it difficult to be kind to yourself, that there's this negative soundtrack that's maybe constantly you're beating the shit out of yourself mentally, that you didn't do it well enough, you missed that appointment, if you would have started sooner, all those things, right? So, and do those critical thoughts, even when you have some success in an area and you kind of beat yourself up every time, even when there's evidence to the contrary, that you are a decent person and all that, this negative voice keeps telling you that no, you're a shithead. Well, you know what? You're in the right place, because we are back to talk a little bit more about our inner critic. Hi, everyone. My name is Zandra, and today we are going to be talking about a little bit more about our video series, Challenge Your Inner Critic. Today we are on part 3 of our series. I think we had an introduction, then we had part 1 last week, which is a little bit deeper into what we're talking about. And now it's part 3 of 6 of this video series. So, what are we talking about here? So, you might not even notice. Sorry, guys, I'm not in my studio like normal if you're watching this during real time. As you can see, my lighting's kind of crappy right now, but I'm outside. I'm on vacation. I'm at Shuswap Lake. It's amazing, and it's a little bit disconcerting. I don't have my papers. I don't have my props. I don't have my great lighting. So it's always a bit of a challenge, and that's one of those critical voices in my head that is constantly telling me, holy Zan, this is going to be a train wreck. Why are you doing this? You're not ready. You should have taken the week off. And I beat myself up on vacation every time. And I think it's just part of my guilt and my perfectionism of wanting to be the best all the time. And then kind of trying to be gentle, going, well, it's vacation. I'm going to do my best. But then I don't. This negative thought process takes over, right? And sometimes I don't even know it's happening until afterwards. I'm like, oh, dumb, dumb, dumb. And then I realize I've spent 20 minutes during a perfectly beautiful day outside when I could have been enjoying it. And instead I'm beating myself up mentally, right? So this can really sneak in at lots of different times, especially if it's just not you, right? If it's a family thing, if it's, you've got other people involved and you constantly feel like you're letting people down, right? So this is part of challenging that inner critic. Or you're scared to begin something because you are not sure of if you're going to be able to do it. Okay. And because this thought process goes on autopilot after a while, it just it imprints into our brain, and our brain processes just go, oh, Zan wants to think these negative thoughts and these hurtful thoughts to herself because she keeps thinking them, which we do. And then it goes, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to help her out and I'm going to put that on autoplay. So then she doesn't have to waste energy calling those thoughts up anymore. So then they literally go on autoplay in your brain. So we're going to work through that about deprogramming our brain, right? And that's these 4 steps we've been talking about. And today we're going to be talking about that first step, which is acknowledge that inner critic. We talked a little bit about it last week, but it's really important for you to start tuning into that negative voice that's playing in your head and that is screwing you over, my friends, that is holding you back, that is helping you create stories that are keeping you stuck where you are. And you're wondering, I'm trying. Why am I not getting ahead? Why am I moving ahead? Well, if you are thinking the same old stinking thoughts, stinking thinking, then it doesn't matter how much you try external world to create success and hope and happiness and joy for yourself, it ain't going to happen, because our exterior world is a reflection of our interior world. So if we got, a messy house inside, it's going to show up in your front yard. So you need to start identifying where those negative thoughts coming from and start to stop them. So how do we do that? How do we acknowledge this inner critic? So first thing, you start to figure out, where does this come from? We talked a little bit about it last week when I was trying to set up all 4 of the steps, and that's what they're going to be, 4 steps. So, but we won't worry about the rest of them. We're just going to worry about number 1 today. So we need to figure out, where did these negative thoughts come from? You weren't born with them. It's not people, oh, I was just born negative, or oh, that's just the way I am. We hear that so much. I don't believe that. I believe that you grow and change every single day. And as you mature and as your brain matures, normally you start to be able to choose the thoughts that you want to have play through it. A lot of us don't. We get stuck back when we were 8 years old, or whenever our traumas, or whenever the negativity that somebody said we weren't smart enough, or we weren't a great singer, or we weren't a great whatever we wanted to be. We stopped dreaming. We stopped believing it, and we chose to believe them instead. We chose to let our attention be hooked by that person's story. And really, that's the purpose of this, is helping you to undo those stories that aren't helping you. And everybody's got them. We don't want to delve into that. This isn't counseling. This is really about you getting aware of, where am I at right now, and where do I want to go to? So think about it. Where does it come from? Childhood. Could be your parents, teachers, frenemies, I call them, right? The friends and the people that were your friends but weren't really your friends, because you were constantly walking on eggshells with them. Could be still now. Could be family members and bosses, right? There's so much. It could be just now social media, where you see people on social media and you think you should be doing better because of the way they are. I think that's lame, but that's a cop out to me. Well, go get your life. Let's start getting you motivated to do what you want to do. Why cry about somebody else's life? I don't give a shit about that. I can't do anything. All I can do is create the life that I want for me. So I need you to dig deep, and I need you to make a list of it. I asked you last week to do some homework, is to start writing down those critical thoughts that you had about yourself, and maybe where some of those critical thoughts began to manifest from. All right. So first step that you need to take in this, so figure out, where did this inner critic come from? And then start to acknowledge it. This is where the acknowledging begins. Realize that your inner critic is always with you unless you start to reprogram your brain. I've talked a lot about it. Your brain is like a computer. You can never totally delete information off of a computer. You have to overwrite it with a new program. Otherwise, it's still there. That's how freaks get caught, right? When, they try to hide their stuff and delete it off their hard drive, but it's never gone until something else is recorded over it. You need to reprogram your thoughts, your brains. That's what these next few weeks are going to be about for you, but you have to start doing the work if you want to make the difference in your life. So once you can identify these thoughts, maybe even some of the traps. And what is that? Well, when do you start thinking this? Well, geez, whenever I'm with my cousin, or whenever I scroll this person's Facebook page, or whenever I talk to this person at work, or when I don't have a job and I wake up in the morning, when I'm not starting that business I wanted to, or this, that, or the other thing, right? It's everywhere. You need to be able to catch yourself, right? Being negative towards yourself. So when you say, man, sure, I'm so, I would have wasted my life. I'm just burning my life away at this job and blah, blah, blah. Instead saying, what could I do instead? Start coaching yourself. That's what coaching is. I just hold space for you and start to ask you questions. What could I do instead? What would I want to do? How much money do I need to leave this job? What are some other jobs that could give me that wage? Is there any way that I could start my own business? What are some business ideas that I have? So I use money. Health and wellness, the same thing. What could I do? What's the smallest step that I could take to start improving my wellness? That's how we start to overwrite those messages. Instead of believing that old story that we don't have the capability, we start to focus on what we can. We need to also focus on, what are the different types of critical thoughts, because there's different ones. They're not all the same. And what are some of them? Some of you go, oh no, Zan, that's just the way I am. That's what I hear a lot with people. And I'm telling you, it's not just the way you are. You need to identify these messages. So what could some of those traps, some of those emotions, feelings, things that are going on in your head? So one, doubting yourself, not feeling confident that you have the ability to handle your shit. You know what I mean? Handle your life. Be able to deal with that person that you just gets under your skin and triggers me, right? Guilt trip, worry, right? And that can come from you internally. It can still come from those external people around you that are still laying those guilt trips on you. It could be judgment about yourself, judgment from other people. That fear factor, right, is a huge one about why we have this inner voice about ourselves. And if we've been judged in the past, rightfully or wrongfully. Shame, that's what arises from judgment and us not owning our own stuff, is we start to feel shame and blame. Rejection is another huge one, and that can be you grew up in not an ideal situation. Your parents weren't there for whatever reason, or you had them and they rejected you. Whatever, could have been a partner. You might be in a divorce. You might be, right? There's so many ways. You might get fired, not had that job, right? That's a huge thing where you can start to have that negative inner critic pop up around you. Comparison, I already mentioned that, looking at other people's life and saying, where am I at? I'm crap. I'm not doing what everyone else is doing. And then finally, projection, which is where we start talking shit about other people that are doing what we would want to do, but we start to make up a negative story. And it's because we're feeling bad about ourselves. So we start to project how we feel about ourselves onto other people. And that's a lot of times why parents and friends and partners aren't good friends or parents or partners, because they're miserable themselves. They got their own inner critic going on. They got their own stuff to deal with. And so they're mad at themselves, but then they see everybody else. Whatever we think is what we see all around us. So if they feel not good enough, that they're lacking, that they're going to see it in you too, even though it's not true. That's the story that we make up. That's the bad medicine that we put on ourselves, and why this is so important to overcome, my darlings, right? You need to get rid of that stuff, because even those negative thoughts about other people are really just more shit talk about yourself. So stop it. You need to really keep these critical thoughts in mind when you're identifying your inner critic. So looking at those other ones, does one of them apply, right? So if any of those things, is this about doubt? Is this about guilt? When you go, oh, I'm just like that, Zan. Are you really just like that? Or is it coming from a place of fear? Place of worry, place of judgment, blame, that I tried this before and I went bankrupt. And so everyone's going to think that I'm going to be a failure. So why would I even bother trying? You are not the same person when your experience happened previously. You're a different person now. All right. So what do you need to look for? You need to keep an eye on these inner critics, hon, because they can get in your way, right? And like I said, sometimes you don't even know they're happening. So what do you need to do? So as well as writing them down, figuring out where they came from, this is how we acknowledge this inner critic. We also need to really look at, we'll be talking about refuting it next week, which means you need to start looking for evidence of why this isn't true. If you don't bother to look for the truth, you're never going to find it. That's what the truth is. You got to dig deep for it. So what do you need to do? Signs to know, am I hypercritical? Do I have a lot of this inner critic going on? Are you speaking harshly to yourself? Do you speak harshly at others? And it's the same with thinking as well. Are these thoughts, and meaning especially the thoughts towards yourself, are they repetitive and intrusive? Can you not turn them off? Or you go, well, I can't stop thinking negative. It's just the way it is. And a lot of people will tell me, I'll say, well, why do you think that is? Well, I'm anxious. I think I'm depressed. And that could be, or it could be that it's just really deeply ingrained into your brain and it's on autoplay and you are choosing to believe that this is biological. Because there is biological stuff, right? That's not for today. But there are reasons where, yes, you do need medication. You do need counseling, talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. So don't worry about that. No shame to that. This is what I'm trying to figure out. Can you control it, and give you some tips around that? So this voice this inner critic isn't rational. It's all or nothing, outlandish and extreme. It's like, if I don't get this job, my life sucks. If I don't lose these 20 pounds by the wedding, then I'm giving up and I'm just going to go let myself go and I don't care about my blood pressure, right? I'm going to get sicker. So is it irrational? It needs to be small steps. It needs to see that whatever you want to do is a lifestyle change, right? And it's slow, small steps. You're not going to be any big, giant, crazy things. Unless you want to sell your house and go start a business. I don't know. We'll talk about that another day. And then you often mistake this negative voice too, that it's in your best interest. And you're like, well, geez, no, Grandma always, had my best interest in heart. So when she says that I can't do this, I should probably trust her. No, is this self-sabotage? Is this self-protection? Or does this person really have your best interests? So you need to make sure that whoever you're taking your advice from that is influencing how the story that you tell yourself, that they really do have all the information and they really do know what they're talking about, long story short, right? Because they don't. And then you need to listen to see if you hear the messages influential people may have told you in the past. So that's what I need you to figure out. Who's saying this to me? Where did I get this from? And I want you to practice with the good thoughts too, where you have this confidence about yourself, where you go, where did I learn? Was it practice? Because that's a lot of our thoughts too. Most of us think if we've never done something, well, I'm scared to start it because what if I'm bad at it? Well, that's kind of what learning is. Normally, everyone's kind of bad or not very good at whatever they try. That's the whole process of learning. So even you starting a business, you starting a new job, you going after a new relationship, your health and wellness, all of these goals, saving money that you may have for yourself, right? You're a different person now, and you need to start to really look at who are you getting the message from. And if it's, you're surrounded by negative people that are still feeding that to you, that's why I've had to let go of a few friends. That's why, because it brought me, and it wasn't about them. It was about me not being my best when I was around them, right? So you need to start making choices and decide, who am I surrounding myself with mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, socially? All right. And that's it. Now that you know what to look for when it comes to sniffing out your inner critic, you're far more prepared to refute it. And we're going to be talking about how do I make this case for myself, right? Because this was just acknowledging who you are, what it is that you need to start to figure out, where these critical thoughts are coming from, where did I get them from, and how are they affecting me as well, right? Are these serving me positively? No. Then get rid of them. You're not 8 years old anymore. You're 18, you're 28, you're 48, you're 88. I don't know, but you're not a kid anymore. You get to decide how you think and feel every single day. So you need to change that record. Let's reprogram that voice in your head. All right. So what are we going to do? Please join me next week because part 2 or part 4, I guess it'll be, I'll share with you some ways to decide whether the messages your inner voice is giving you are realistic or are trying to keep you stuck. So that's where we start to refute them and look for evidence. So do your homework, get ready for next week. And if you want to get a jump start at the homework, that's what we need to start looking at. Is what I'm thinking about myself true or full of hooey bullshit? Okay? And as always, my friends, do not hesitate. If you are ready to start to figure out if you do have an inner critical voice, you want to figure out how to deal with that, book a call with me or come and join my 90-day Dream Life project. We're getting ready to, next month, we're going to be doing a new launch. We're going to have a new title, new flavor, a few new things going on. So if you'd like to talk a little bit more about how we could work together, then please reach out, book a call with me. You can go to my website, www.zandraross.ca. There are some great free resources, but there's also a link where you can hook up with me. Alrighty. And as you know, I have, if you've been following this, I have a workbook and an ebook that I'm taking all of my notes from. And if you'd like them, then what I'd love for you to do is, if you're following this, let us know. As always, are you watching this live or you're watching this on the replay? Did you find the session beneficial? Give me some feedback, darlings. We need to hear how to target these, because I can just keep yapping my trap off all day, but I'd really love to yap about something that interests you. So if you let us know that you're watching and that you either comment below, give me the books, I want the stuff, I want the goods, I don't know, whatever. Let us know that you want the workbook and the ebook, and I will get those little honeys sent off to you pronto. All right. So how do you show the love? Comment below, like this post, let me know what you thought, and invite your friends to the group, because that's what happens. We share and care. Caring is sharing. So cheesy, but you know what I mean. And don't just add them to the group. What I'd love for you to do is share the link if you find this beneficial and say, come listen to this chick. She's got some stuff to say. Alrighty. Love you guys. Have a fantastic day, and I hope everything is good in all of your worlds. I'm so glad for those of you who could join me, and like I said, tune in next week, I promise. Well, I won't be in this beautiful setting. Oh, actually, you know where we'll be next week? I'll probably be in a hotel room in Las Vegas. So if you're watching this on the recording, sorry guys, I probably won't be in Vegas then, but that's okay. Saying goodbye to the beautiful shoe shop, going off to the fantastic Las Vegas and hopefully seeing some of my friends. Stacia, we're coming soon, girl. And praying that everybody is safe with all these wildfires, whether it be through the States, California. I know it's going to be pretty dang smoky in Las Vegas when we go, but let's all just put our wettest vibes out into the world and hope all this crap clears itself up. And all of you in the Okanagan, sending my love to all of my friends, family out there. So, and as always, let me know what's going on. It's time. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. Okay, love you guys. Talk to you soon.